Today, I am honored that my guest is someone who is well known in the waste management and environmental sustainability industry. He is someone that supports many organizations like Clean City South Africa. He supported us the first day he got to hear about us. His passion lies in guiding and supporting the plastics industry, ensuring environmental sustainability, educating the public, and creating awareness about plastics creation, its use, and recycling. My name is Dalu Cele. I'm the founder of Clean City SA. My guest is Douw Steyn. He's the Director of Sustainability at Plastics SA. Douw, a very warm welcome to Action for Cleanup and Recycling.
Dalu, thank you. It's nice to be here, and it's a real privilege.
Yeah, I know it's great. I know that you travel a lot around the world in your amazing presentations. You see the world, see beautiful places around the world in your work, and you also travel personally with your family. And then also you travel a lot in South Africa. And with your over 29 years of experience with the plastics industry, maybe perhaps can you just maybe unpack for us, your role at Plastics SA as the Sustainability Director?
Yes. Well, maybe I can start to say, who is Plastic SA? We are an organization that represents the plastic industry, that is from our raw material producers, our converters, our recyclers, and a few associations. Our responsibility really lies to ensure that we are a responsible industry, and especially when it comes to the environment. And that's the role I, with my team, play with our industry partners like the producer responsibility organizations under the EPR scheme. So sustainability of the industry, especially on the environmental side and circular economy, is really one of our great focus points, and especially now with the plastic treaty, which is happening the past 3-4 years.
Yeah, it looks like the industry itself, Plastics SA, or the industry as a whole globally, is quite like it's an end-to-end. I think you're talking about the producers, the manufacturers, so the retailers and us as consumers. I just want to understand, and also us as cleaners, litter pickers, the recyclers, So I want just to unpack a little bit more in terms of Plastics SA's involvement in this entire value chain.
Yeah, I think the word that you correctly use is the value chain. And who is responsible for the actions in the value chain? Now, that is from the raw material producer right through to the converter, right through to the brand owner, retailer, and then eventually the product ends up with a consumer. And what role does a consumer play? Now, we all have a specific responsibility on what happens to that product that we've used, and unfortunately currently misused. And so who is the responsible person? I believe is that one called Homo sapien. It starts with us. Taking that product, what do I do with it after I've used it?
Yeah, so that's quite an interesting thing just to look at that understanding, because I think the plastics industry, the plastics have brought so much convenience, for us. You find it in gadgets. I think in these mics, there's plastics in it, part of it, So the plastics have actually made our lives much easier. A lot of, even in our cars, you find that there's plastics, there's parts of it which are plastic, and then there's different types of material and different levels within that space. So with regards to, you're talking about the EPRs and the role of the PROs, all of these terms can be quite confusing. And
it is.
Yeah, so maybe if you can just unpack for us, what is an EPR, what is a PRO, what's their role?
I think it starts with probably the word responsible. And EPR systems in South Africa, probably the last 2 years, have become legislated. So if you are in the packaging and paper and packaging industry, either be producing a paper product in packaging, or a glass, or a metal packaging like a can, or in the plastic industry, you will have to adhere to the legislation which says you must belong to a EPR system or a PRO, Producer Responsibility Organization. And there are a few of these PROs. So if you're a producer of, let's say, a bottle, then you will have to belong to one of the PROs that are looking after the bottle industry. So that means there's a responsibility from the raw material, the converter, the recycler.
Yeah.
Somebody have to pay to help us clean up this country, to ensure that waste management is working well, that there's an increase in recycling rates. But to do that, you need funding. And the funding now comes from the EPR system, where you pay per ton on what you convert, what you put onto the market, or what you import. So it's a responsible, taking responsibility.
Oh, okay. So that you just made it much more easier for us to understand. So the producer itself, or themselves, they need to take that responsibility of how they design their packaging and how it can be recovered and not be harmful to the environment, isn't it?
Exactly. EPR is not just putting money into a bottomless pit. It's the responsibility with the PROs lies with taking this funding. What do we do with it? One is to look at the recycling. How do we increase our recycling rates? And the only way we can increase it is by putting, for instance, infrastructure at buyback centers, support separation at source from the households, working with the municipalities on the integrated waste management plans in terms of that packaging, to ensure, and then of course also design for recycling. We can't just now make a product and nobody can recycle it. There's no value to it. We need to ensure that whatever we put on the market will eventually can be recycled, will be recycled, where can it be recycled, and what is the value for it for people collecting it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And especially the increasing the ability for us as a country to recycle the material. I mean, a lot of people and organizations are involved in, sorting of waste for recycling. One would think that maybe that industry is big, but if you read, it looks like we're still at the very small, startup as a country in terms of our recycling, which is an opportunity for us to grow as an industry.
Well, I think there's a lot of misconceptions that we're not that good. If we look at the plastic recycling industry, we've got over 300 recycling companies. Those are processors that buy the plastic waste from probably 90,000 waste collectors out there, waste pickers, the trolley brigade guys. And those are companies that buy the material, process it back into a raw material, put it back into the market. Our latest figure, that the data that we collected in our recycling industry, is that we recycle about 28% of what is going into the market. If you compare it to other countries like Europe, etc., we're actually very, very good. We're actually sometimes better than most of those, what we call developed countries. And the reason why is because we do what we call mechanical recycling. So we buy the waste, we process it back into a raw material, and it goes into new products. So the end market, plastic can be very complicated. That's why we always have to make it easy for the consumer. That's why we say collection is wet and dry. The dry material or recyclables go to a sorting facility, or give it to people that understand the materials. Get sorted because it must be sorted, otherwise it's got no value. And from there it gets to the recycling plant, and that's where you add the value. But our responsibility as an industry starts with design for recycling, and also putting the correct infrastructure, working in collaboration with municipalities and collectors, etc. And then of course the end market. The end market stimulates the collection of the material. That's where the value is.
Oh, that's amazing. So thank you for enlightening us that in terms of our recycling capacity in comparison with other countries like in Europe, we are up there, which is quite encouraging. And also to hear the number of companies that are involved in recovering that material and getting it into other products instead of sending these into the landfill sites. So I just want to touch on the separation at source. I think that's where the opportunity, I mean, if you're sitting at 28%, maybe to to grow that figure even further up.
Yeah.
How can we encourage or teach or educate the public even more about, separating waste at source?
Yeah, that's quite a challenging one, because we all know currently our country do have a waste management problem, because currently about probably 60% of the country have proper waste management. So now I want to have to define, what do you mean by proper? First of all, it comes to waste management, collection from the household, taking it to the landfill, then bringing in the recycling opportunities. Now we promote very hard separation at source. And separation at source doesn't mean, in my mind, 20 different bins. I personally believe 2-bin system, wet and dry. The dry is all your recyclables, could be paper, glass, cans, plastics, where that's collected by whoever. It could be municipality, it could be private contractors. It goes to a sorting facility where it gets properly recycled, add value to it, goes to a recycling plant. But to put those infrastructure in place is not that easy, because most of our municipalities are promoting separation at source in the integrated waste plans.
Yeah.
But somebody have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Is it the consumer that will have to pay for it to have separation at source from their households? Is it the role of the industry?
Yeah.
I believe it's a collaboration, and I think that is where the EPR system and the PROs really can assist.
Yeah.
Is working with the municipality, look at the opportunity for separation at source,
Yeah.
work together to find the best solution, the best opportunity,
Yeah.
and take action.
Yeah.
It's actually quite simple, but
No, absolutely.
it needs to be done.
Yeah.
We don't need to send our recycled materials to landfills. Our landfills are filling up.
Yeah.
It's got value. It doesn't belong. It's a resource. Doesn't
Yes.
belong in the environment. Doesn't belong in a landfill.
Absolutely.
Let's
Yeah.
use that as a resource.
Yeah.
But we need to get it back from the consumer.
Yeah.
And that is where some of the challenges lie. But the opportunity lies there as well.
Yes, I think the opportunity, it is there. As you said, it's collaboration and collective effort. Everything, when you start small, you can test and see what works, with all the industry players being involved and the municipalities that are responsible for collecting waste in our households. It can be done. You just need that will to get going. All right, okay. So now, Douw, I just want us to now look at this very important week coming up in South Africa. And maybe if you can just unpack for us, the Clean Up and Recycle Week, where it started. Why do we have a Clean Up and Recycle Week in SA? I know you have a lot of contribution that you've made to have this week in the first place.
Well, I could probably keep you busy for 2 days talking about Clean Up Week. Well, it initially started 1996 with Izemvelo, KZN and Wildlife approaching the industry for some plastic bags to clean up Durban, the Durban beaches. Okay, we as industry then provide them some cleaner bags. I think there were 300 people cleaning up the beaches. And then the year after, when I joined Plastic SA, I was approached by Izemvelo to say, can I provide them with bags? I was quite new in the industry, and I thought, well, coming from an environmental background, being part of Keep South Africa Beautiful and Keep It in Maritzburg Clean and Durban, etc., I thought, well, of course I will support as an industry. And that's an opportunity for us to what can we do with our plastic litter? Because at that stage, the government was really looking at plastic bags, issues flying around, hanging in the trees, etc. We then saw it as an opportunity on how can we support the international coastal cleanup.
Okay.
So myself and Izemvelo came together. We said, well, let's make this formal. Let's interact with Ocean Conservancy in America, because that's where the coastal cleanup originally started.
Okay. All right.
And it's just grown from 3,000 bags, a year later 5,000 bags, then 8,000 bags, more people, more cleanups.
Yeah.
And then we decided, let's take it to the Cape Province as well, and it became coastal cleanup for the Cape Province as well.
Yeah.
And then in 2000, I was approached by the Deputy Minister of Environment that time, of Environmental Affairs and said, but she would like to have a South African campaign, not just on the coastline.
Oh, great.
And we thought, that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
So who's going to manage it? Well, we've been managing it for 29 years, and often
until this day.
Yes, and I thought, how did we get into this? But we realized that we have a part to play.
Yeah.
It's a lot of our products, 80%, research shows 80% of your litter in the ocean comes from land-based sources, comes from inland.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Really
and it's
amazing.
And it's sadly when we look at our beaches, when there's a flood in Durban or Cape Town, you see a lot of waste on the beaches.
Yeah.
So it started with the beaches, then it became, and we took the challenge from the minister to say, okay, we will start it, run it.
Yeah.
Then it became Clean Up South Africa Week, and then a few years later, we've decided we don't just want to clean up this country. The material that is collected from the beaches, from the roadsides, etc., has good value. It's usually quite clean material. Litter is not always dirty.
Yeah.
And so let's also then start promoting recycling.
Yeah.
And now the reason why it's in that same week as the coastal cleanup, because then it's good for creating awareness.
Yeah.
It's creating a bit of a let's clean up this country vibe. It's September, it's spring. And so we also developed a website for the cleanup campaign.
It's very active at the moment.
Yeah.
I see.
Last year, 800,000 bags sponsored. We've got coordinators along the coast, inland.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people taking part. So it's always a week before the coastal cleanup.
Okay.
So the Wednesday is usually what we call National River Cleanup Week.
Yeah, okay.
The Friday is Recycling Day, South Africa.
Yes.
The Saturday is the International Coastal Cleanup and World Cleanup, where 140 plus countries are taking part.
Yes.
So,
amazing.
But we believe it's not just that week. It's not just that day.
Yeah.
We also support other environmental days like Water Week with our partners, and there's many partners and sponsors involved.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, we should not be cleaning up this country. It should be clean.
Absolutely.
But I mean, we all play our part. We all do our bit.
Yeah.
And I must confess, after 29 years being involved with Clean Up SA Week, being the founder, yes, I'm very happy with the support we're getting, like from Clean City, ZA, and from the thousands of people out there that also wants to have a clean, healthy country.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, by the way, I mean, you've been supporting us for over 4 years to, supply us with plastic bags that they last us for a year on our cleanups that we do in all the communities where we operate. With just the last supply that you just issued us for the next year, we've just put it into good use in Randburg with the team from APSA, awesome. And they had a great time with us. So I think it's an important week for us in the industry. And what I like about it is also it talks to the waterways. You're talking about the river cleanup, the water conservation and the life, in our rivers, into our ocean. I mean, we've had, the big rainfall in KZN recently, about a year ago or so, where we could see the amount of debris and litter and plastics, all sorts of things, flowing through our rivers right into the ocean. So as you were speaking, and then I'm reminded of a lot of organizations that get involved, with those colorful yellowish plastic bags and everybody that is involved. So maybe if you can let's focus on the marine life, the ocean, and what is the impact? Why do we need to do all these cleanups? Is there any benefit to it?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody wants a clean environment. A clean environment also ensures a healthy environment. But also when it comes to our wildlife, it could be in the bush, it could be in the ocean. And especially if you look at certain products could cause ingestion of, let's say, our dolphins, our sharks, etc. And entanglement, especially like things like nets as well as fishing gut. And so it does have an effect on our marine life. It does have an effect on our animals on the land.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that we are taking responsibility, so that when we have our products, we put it in the right place.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't end up. We should not use our rivers as a conduit to get rid of waste,
Yeah.
or to get rid of products.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is where it's so important that we put infrastructure in place.
Yeah. So it's very interesting though, because like the work that we do, we are inland in Gauteng, Johannesburg. So our cleanups will include, the inlets, your canals on the side of the road, So the material could get in there. It blocks,
Yeah.
for example, it blocks the canals, the stormwater drainage systems. And that material from the stormwater drainage systems, it goes into the waterways, into our rivers. Our rivers are polluted, and there's a lot happening, in our rivers. And guess what? All of that, we see it in the ocean. But another interesting thing, though, was I was in a meeting around different organizations, and I was asking this question about, ingestion. You were talking about ingestion of the microplastics. So the danger to us as human beings, you're sitting at a restaurant or you're sitting at home, the fish, is being served, and this fish is full of that, microplastics. What is the risk to us?
Well, let me take one step back. What are we as industry doing around microplastics, or plastic that is smaller than a 5 millimeter micron, is what we call Operation Clean Sweep. That is what we call a product stewardship project, which is globally for the plastic industry. And it's called OCS, Operation Clean Sweep,
Yeah.
which means we take responsibility of the raw material that we transport, that we put into our machines.
Yeah.
So when we do have a spill, that we don't wash or sweep it into the drain system, because those little pellets, the raw material is very, very small.
Yeah.
And most of your polyethylenes, of course, if it ends up in the drain system, in the rivers, will drift, end up
Yeah.
in the ocean, ends up on our beaches.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, seabirds, look at that, identified as probably food,
Yeah.
and they get ingested. So Operation Clean Sweep is a project that we run as industry, getting our converters, our recyclers,
Yeah.
our raw material guys to take that responsibility,
Yeah.
not to spill, putting pellet traps at their factories, etc., to ensure that no little pellet goes into the system.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of plastics do break down in smaller pieces, especially with the African sun. If it's a high density, like a milk bottle, for instance, will break down in smaller pieces
Yeah.
because of abrasion in the rocks, etc. And I believe that if there's those materials in, let's say, a fish, whatever, has that been scientifically proven? What effect does it really have on the human, on us as humans?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a challenge. There's a lot of research going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Some are probably true, some are not true. But I think one need to, first of all, not look at this in an emotional way,
Yeah.
but rather let's look at the facts.
Okay.
Don't always
Yeah.
believe what you read, what you hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's not scientifically proven that it does have an effect in your life,
Yeah.
there is so much plastic in a fish or so much in a water bottle. Let's work on the scientific proof. And then, of course, if it's scientifically proven, we as industry must take responsibility as well.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can't just say, let's hide from it, it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's make sure, if it's true, do something
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Take responsibility.
Yeah. So the reason I'm highlighting this is just to raise awareness for us as humans, so that our behavior, could contribute to something that could be, we don't know until it's scientifically proven, that could be risk to our food, and the environment, and etc. Douw, we've been talking a lot about, the Clean Up and Recycle Week. I'd like to get our viewers to get engaged with us. I prepared some questions for them, very, very easy questions. Thank you for watching this episode. So to the viewer out there, these questions are very simple. Would like you to interact with us and then give us the answers on the comment section. So question number 1. What are the examples of common single-use plastics in South Africa? Let me repeat this question. What are the examples of common single-use plastics in South Africa? You have 4 options. So option A, plastic forks, knives, and spoons. Option B, body lotion containers. Option C, bottles, bags, and straws. And then the last option, option D, detergent containers. So to the viewer there, let's hear your answers on the comments section. Question number 2 is very, very simple and straightforward. Okay, so the question goes, what is a circular economy? Let me repeat the question. What is a circular economy? 4 options again. Option A, it is where you spin plastics in a circle. Option B, it is where plastics is reused or recycled. Option C, it is where the economy goes around in circles. And then the last option, option D, it is where money circulates within an area. All right, so let's hear your comments on the comment section. Our very, very last set of questions, which is question 3. Which South African national department is responsible for the environment? Let me repeat the question again. Which South African national department is responsible for the environment? 4 options to your answer. Option A, Department of Health. Option B, Department of Basic Education. Option C, Department of Agriculture. And then option D, Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and the Environment. Okay, we look forward to your comments on the comments section. All right, so now let's just get back to now looking at, we're talking about the Clean Up and Recycle Week, and then we're talking about, you know, our contribution as humans into this whole environment, sustainability, etc. So if we look at, for example, you know, our own human behavior, I mean, we have a role to play in all of this. You know, you represent the industry, you work with the industry, they have their part to contribute, but us as humans in this entire value chain, because we are the users of the products that we consume, and then it's also our responsibility in terms of how do we dispose them of responsibly. So with regards to the human behavior, in your experience, I mean, you've been in the industry for many years, 29 years, it's a lifetime. So what would be your take on this, or what you've experienced and seen?
I think people want to be part of it. And that's what I experience. And when I at a cleanup and I see, especially our youth, how they interact and how that excitement, the energy that people, not just youth, but people. What I see is people are really ready to take responsibility. And they want to take responsibility. So I think a lot of education awareness have taken place. A lot of cleanups have taken place. A lot of organizations are involved in cleanup campaigns. So I think the awareness is there. Education on school level at eco clubs, etc., it's there. Now I think it's where people really want to make a difference. And that is why we find so many people participate in the cleanups, because they realize the place is dirty.
Yeah.
And if it's clean, it looks so much better. It looks so much more beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think we should take more responsibility. We should educate more. There's opportunity in schools. Even there's school recycling projects. There's life skills in the school syllabus, where we can put in those messages about let's have a clean country. Let's not litter. Let's look at the value of materials, etc. Support people that are doing recycling.
Yes.
You don't have to. Sometimes people say to me, "But I don't know where to recycle. I don't know what to recycle." There's so much information out there, what to recycle.
Yeah.
There's opportunities where there's already infrastructure. If you look at the waste reclaimers, as I said, we don't really know how many are in the country, but there's over 90,000 apparently people on landfills, people collecting, the trolley brigade, collecting waste.
Yeah.
And maybe have a conversation with them and ask them, what do you take?
Yeah.
And maybe at your home, put your recyclables, the ones that you want, put it on top of the bin.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't have to go through your bin.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that adds value to it, because he's the one selling it to the recyclers. So I'd rather support that guy. So so I think even through this discussion, we can create awareness, get to know your waste picker or waste reclaimer.
Yeah.
Ask what he wants, help him getting more material.
Yeah.
Talk to your friends, talk to your community, people that around you, in your office, in your offices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Create that awareness. It starts with us.
Absolutely.
It doesn't start with the industry, with Dalu Cele from Clean City.
Yeah.
Everybody can create that awareness.
Absolutely.
And take the educational route by doing the right thing. Take the responsibility.
Yeah. So indeed. You know, we had a discussion. We had the Women's Action for Cleanup and Recycling celebrating the Women's Month recently, and some of the things that we're talking about is, you know, it's interesting to look at the human behavior. So if it happens that maybe you work in an environment where it's clean and neat and tidy outside, but in your own neighborhood where you live, you know, is full of littering, illegal dumping and all of that, you know, it becomes an eyesore. I remember some of the discussions I've had with you in the past about driving through and seeing these heaps of illegal dumping sites that are sitting all over the place, you know, and all of those things. So it's just amazing on the human behavior. It starts with us, you know, in my household, in my neighborhood, to say, how can I, on a daily basis, walk out of my home and then just throw things on the streets and just dump, you know, so around my neighborhood. You know, it just brings a lot of questions about our behavior. But over and above that is also the mechanisms to say, wherever we walk in our neighborhoods, do we have the infrastructure and the mechanism to dispose of litter, you know, responsibly? You know, so we work in various communities, and one of the challenges we've seen now in our experience is around the availability of public bins, you know. So, but at the end of the day, the way we look at it is just on the human behavior, is about, you know, us, what responsibility do we take as individuals? Do we hold on to our waste if we happen to carry waste and then dispose it, you know, responsibly? All right, maybe as a final question, Douw, we really appreciate your time being here.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, so if we look at just the last segment, we look at now the youth. You talked about, you know, education, starting at schools, you know, kids going to school, you know. Then the youth. How can the youth be encouraged to get involved, you know, in their neighborhoods, in their communities, to participate in cleanups and learn more about recycling?
I think it starts with exposure. If you don't take the youth to take part in a clean-up campaign, they will probably don't even know that it's dirty out there. So I think is the participation in a clean-up campaign, getting schools more involved in clean-up campaigns and the education about recycling and about what responsibility we all have to have from them as young people right to people that are the elderly. Everybody have a role to play. I know there's a lot of organizations like the Wildlife Society, WESA, that have got eco schools, eco clubs. So I think we as organizations should interact with them probably more and get them more involved in some of these activities.
Yeah.
It starts with the young people.
Yeah.
When I was young, we had Keep South Africa Beautiful with Zapit and Zibi.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Zibi disappeared. I think it immigrated to Cape Town.
Yeah.
But then also the Vice President and the President a couple of years ago launched Billy Bin, which I think is a great idea. And you'll find that Billy Bin is on
Yeah.
logos on my bags.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a bin to say, don't litter, put it in a bin. There's
Yeah.
even mascots for Billy Bin.
Yeah.
So let's use those opportunities
Yeah.
to create with the young people, the young,
Yes.
let's call it young,
Oh.
that opportunity to understand that littering is not cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having a dirty area is not cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Burning our waste in, let's say, in the rural areas is not cool. It's
Yeah.
not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So I think interaction and put it into action. And
Yeah.
we all have a role to play as adults
Yeah.
to the youth, and also I think the role of the schools and every parent. I think every parent. But I find sometimes that the youth are actually educating the parent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's the way. No, interesting. Zap it in the zibi.
Yeah.
So it can be done. You know, in my young age, as I was growing up, that was very common
Yeah.
on television. So the opportunity is still there. You know,
Yes.
to educate young people about, even the adults, you know, about keeping our communities clean. You know, Douw, thank you very much for your time and spending time to share your experience about Plastics SA and the industry and all that you do for the industry. As a token of appreciation for us at Action for Cleanup and Recycling, this is our token of appreciation to you. You're probably very much aware and familiar with this product that is made up of plastic bottles, PET, that have made up this document holder from us to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, let's keep this country clean. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching this episode. To get involved or to support the work that we do out there, click on the description. To follow us on social media, all our social media handles are appearing on your screen. Thank you very much for watching this episode. Until next time.